There's a spring in the middle of a quiet French town that has swallowed divers whole and never returned their bodies. Ropes lowered into the darkness vanish. Equipment sent below the surface disappears without a trace. And somehow, that is not even the most disturbing location on this list. Scattered across every continent on Earth, there are places so fundamentally wrong, so broken at a physical level, that even after decades of scientific investigation, researchers still cannot fully explain what is happening there. A rock in the Saudi Arabian desert split with surgical precision no human tool could replicate. A lake in Venezuela hammered by over 1 million lightning strikes every single year in the exact same spot. A massive circular structure buried in the Sahara that eerily matches ancient descriptions of Atlantis itself. Join us and let's discover the most mysterious places on Earth that science still cannot explain. Let's go.
Number 13. Chocolate Hills. On the Philippine island of Bohol, the landscape looks like it was manufactured inside a factory. Over 1,300 perfectly rounded hills stretch across the terrain in every direction, each one nearly identical to the next. During the rainy season, they are blanketed in green grass, but when the dry months arrive, the vegetation dies and turns a deep chocolate brown, transforming the entire region into what looks like an endless ocean of giant candy drops placed there by some invisible hand. To grasp the scale, imagine filling every city block of downtown San Francisco with smooth dirt mounds, each one between 100 and 400 feet tall. That is what Bohol looks like. Scientists believe these are ancient limestone formations shaped over millions of years by rainfall and the retreat of prehistoric oceans. But erosion does not work this way. Erosion is chaotic by nature. It carves jagged cliffs, uneven valleys, and random ridges. It does not produce over 1,000 identical smooth domes spread across 50 square kilometers of terrain. Some researchers suggest ancient seismic activity pushed coral deposits from a vanished seabed upward through the earth. Others blame volcanic processes deep beneath the island. Neither theory has ever been confirmed. Local legends tell a completely different story. According to the people of Bohol, 2 colossal giants once fought a devastating war across the island, hurling rocks and mountains of sand at each other for days. When the battle finally ended, the rubble they left behind became the hills we see today. No geological model has ever successfully replicated how raw nature could produce this level of perfect symmetry. And if the next entry on this list is any indication, symmetry in nature might not always be natural. Number 12. Naneghat. On the western edge of India, there is a cliff where gravity appears to stop working entirely. At the Naneghat mountain pass, a waterfall does not always fall down. During the monsoon season, winds tear through the narrow canyon with such brutal violence that they grab the falling water and hurl it straight back into the sky. Imagine pouring a full bucket of water off a rooftop and watching every single drop fly upward instead of hitting the ground. That is exactly what happens here. The updraft is so powerful that the entire waterfall reverses direction, transforming into a rising column of mist that climbs toward the clouds like a geyser running in reverse. From a distance, it genuinely looks like the waterfall is being sucked back into the heavens. Meteorologists explain that ascending air currents generated by monsoon winds can overpower the weight of individual water droplets, pushing them upward against the pull of gravity. On paper, the physics checks out. But standing at the edge of that cliff, soaking wet, watching thousands of gallons of water defy everything you learned in school, the physics does not make you feel any less disturbed. Visitors who have witnessed this phenomenon describe the experience as deeply unsettling on a primal level. Every instinct in your body screams that water goes down. It always goes down. That is one of the first things you learn as a child. Then you stand at Naneghat and watch it rise. Your eyes see it happening. Your skin feels the upward spray soaking your face, and some ancient part of your brain simply refuses to accept what it is witnessing. The reverse waterfall does not just bend physics, it makes you question whether you truly understand the planet you live on. And if water going upward shocks you, wait until you see what trees can do.
Only 1% of people know the dark truth behind what we are about to show you next. If you want to be part of the few who actually know what's happening in the world, subscribe and leave a like right now. Done? Look at this.
Number 11. Crooked Forest. In a remote corner of northwestern Poland, 400 pine trees grow in a shape that should be physically impossible. This place is called the Crooked Forest, and every single tree inside it shares the exact same bizarre deformity. Each one grows straight out of the ground for about 12 inches, then bends sharply at a 90-degree angle near the base, curves into a smooth arc, and finally shoots straight back up toward the sky. Picture 400 giant letter J shapes planted in neat rows across the forest floor. That is precisely what this place looks like. The trees were planted around 1930. The forests surrounding this grove are filled with completely normal, perfectly straight pines. Only these 400 trees have the curvature, and almost all of them bend toward the north. That uniformity is what haunts researchers. If a natural disaster, heavy snowfall, or extreme wind had caused the bending, you would expect chaotic, random damage. Trees snapped in different directions, trunks warped at different angles, different heights of breakage. Instead, every single tree curves the same way, at the same angle, in the same direction, as if some invisible force grabbed each one sideways and then released it simultaneously. Some researchers believe local farmers deliberately bent the young saplings to produce curved timber for boat hulls or furniture. But no document, photograph, or surviving witness has ever confirmed that theory. Others suggest a military tank rolled through during World War II, flattening the young trees. But tanks produce destruction, not perfectly uniform curves. 400 trees, one identical bend, 0 confirmed explanations. And while these trees refuse to grow straight, the next location on this list refuses to let anything grow at all. Number 10. Aiken Spring. In the desolate highlands of Qinghai Province in western China, there is a spring that looks like it was placed on Earth as a warning sign. Locals call it the Devil's Eye. Seen from above, it forms a near-perfect circle of unnatural, almost radioactive colors. Vivid greens, deep oranges, and toxic yellows radiate outward from a constantly bubbling center. It looks digital, like something generated by a computer rather than formed by geology. But the beauty is a death sentence. The water is saturated with extreme concentrations of sulfur. This compound releases toxic fumes that poison the surrounding air for dozens of feet in every direction. The ground around the spring is completely barren. No grass, no weeds, no insects, not even bacteria survive near its edges. Animals in the region instinctively avoid the area. Those that wander too close simply do not come back. For humans, spending more than a few minutes near the spring triggers dizziness, nausea, and potentially severe respiratory damage. The sulfur-heavy vapor clings to the ground like invisible fog. You can walk straight into a lethal pocket of toxic air without realizing it until your lungs start burning. Scientists confirm that underground geothermal activity continuously pushes sulfur-rich water to the surface, explaining both the vivid colors and the hostile atmosphere. But one detail still puzzles researchers. The spring maintains a geometrically perfect circular shape despite centuries of erosion, earthquakes, and shifting terrain. Natural weathering forces should have distorted that shape long ago, yet the Devil's Eye remains flawlessly round, staring up at the sky as if something deep underground is actively maintaining its geometry. And the mystery hiding inside the next entry was shaped with even more impossible precision. Number 9. Al-Nazla Rock. In the Tema oasis of the Saudi Arabian desert, there is a boulder that looks like it was sliced in half by a giant laser beam. The Al-Nazla Rock is a massive sandstone formation split perfectly down the middle by a cut so clean, so mathematically straight that it appears engineered by machinery. Run your eyes along the gap and you will not find a single wobble, curve, or imperfection. It is a ruler straight line from the very top to the very bottom. Each half weighs several tons, and both pieces balance on their own narrow rock pedestals, standing perfectly upright and stable despite having virtually no visible support structure. They have remained this way for centuries, possibly thousands of years. To understand how remarkable this is, modern diamond-tipped industrial saws would struggle to produce a cut this precise through stone this dense. And yet there it stands in the middle of a desert, with zero evidence of tool marks or machinery anywhere near it. Geologists offer their standard explanation. They suggest natural fracturing caused by freeze-thaw cycles, where water seeps into a hairline crack, freezes overnight, expands, and gradually splits the rock apart over thousands of years. Wind erosion then smooths the surfaces. Theoretically, that could produce a clean separation, but even geologists privately admit the level of precision here is extraordinary. Freeze-thaw fractures are typically rough, jagged, and uneven. They do not produce laser-straight divisions through massive boulders. Some researchers have speculated that an ancient civilization deliberately shaped the stone using techniques that have been entirely lost to history.
No definitive answer has ever been provided. And if a rock split by an invisible force disturbs you, the next entry on this list involves a sound that nobody on Earth can locate.
Number 8. Taos hum. In the small desert town of Taos, New Mexico, there's a sound that has been slowly driving residents insane for decades. They call it the Taos hum. Those who can hear it describe a deep, low-frequency drone that absolutely never stops. It sounds like a massive diesel engine idling somewhere just beyond the horizon. Except there is no engine, there is no machine. The sound has no identifiable origin whatsoever. The terrifying part is that not everyone can hear it. Roughly 2% of the local population perceives the hum, but for those unlucky few, it is a relentless, inescapable nightmare. The sound follows them into their homes, through sealed windows, behind concrete walls, and into their bedrooms at 3 in the morning. It vibrates in their chests. It pulses inside their skulls. Residents have reported chronic headaches, severe insomnia, crippling anxiety, and a slow, grinding psychological deterioration caused by a noise they can neither escape nor explain. Imagine hearing a sound every second of every day that nobody else around you can detect. Engineers and acoustic scientists have investigated the area repeatedly. They deployed sensitive microphones, vibration sensors, and spectrum analyzers across the town, searching for any industrial, geological, or electromagnetic source responsible. They found absolutely nothing. Some theories suggest underground geological activity might generate infrasound, frequencies below normal human hearing range that only certain individuals can perceive. Others have blamed classified military installations or atmospheric ducting effects. None of these theories have ever been confirmed. The Taos hum has been officially investigated by the United States Congress, studied by major universities, and analyzed by defense contractors. Nobody has solved it. And while this invisible sound torments an entire town, the next entry involves stone objects so perfectly crafted they should not exist.
Number 7. Stone spheres of Costa Rica. Scattered across the jungles and river deltas of southern Costa Rica, hundreds of stone balls sit in the mud looking like they rolled off a factory assembly line. Some are the size of a basketball. Others stretch over 6 feet in diameter and weigh a staggering 16 tons. The precision is what makes scientists uncomfortable. Many of these spheres are so geometrically perfect that the difference between their widest and narrowest points measures less than a fraction of an inch. To achieve that level of accuracy today, you would need computer-guided machinery and laser measurement equipment. The ancient civilization that built these had absolutely neither. Archaeologists believe the spheres were created by the Dickies people, a pre-Columbian culture that thrived in the region over 1,000 years ago, but the techniques used to sculpt them remain a total mystery. The material is granodiorite, an igneous rock so brutally hard that shaping it with primitive stone tools would have required an almost incomprehensible level of patience, skill, and mathematical precision. Some researchers suggest the craftsmen heated the rock and rapidly cooled it to chip away layers. Others believe they used grinding and polishing methods that have been entirely lost to history, but nobody can explain how they achieved near mathematical perfection without any known measuring instruments. Their purpose is equally baffling. Some spheres were found arranged in deliberate geometric patterns. Others stood alone near entrances to what appear to be ancient chieftain compounds. Were they status symbols? Astronomical maps? Weapons rolled downhill at enemies? Local legends claimed they held hidden gold, leading treasure hunters to crack many open and destroy them. The surviving spheres are now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but why they were made remains completely unknown. And if perfectly shaped stone unsettles you, the next entry involves thousands of carved containers that no one can explain.
Number 6. Plain of Jars. In the mountains of central Laos, thousands of enormous stone jars sit scattered across the landscape like abandoned cargo from a civilization that vanished without a single trace. This site is called the Plain of Jars, and it is one of the most baffling archaeological puzzles on the planet. Some of these carved containers stand over 10 feet tall and weigh more than 30 tons. That is heavier than a fully loaded school bus. They were chiseled directly from solid blocks of sandstone, limestone, and granite, then somehow transported across rugged mountain terrain to their current positions. Nobody knows how. The jars are estimated to be at least 2,000 years old, created by a mysterious Iron Age culture that left behind no written language, no temples, and no cities. Just the jars. Thousands upon thousands of them. Archaeologists have proposed multiple theories. The most accepted suggests the jars were used in elaborate funerary rituals. Bodies may have been placed inside to decompose before the bones were collected and ceremonially buried elsewhere.
Some jars do contain human remains, stone discs, and burial offerings that partially support this idea. But many others are completely empty, showing zero evidence of any human use. An alternative theory suggests they stored rice wine or rainwater along ancient trade routes. Local legends offer the most dramatic explanation. According to Laotian folklore, a powerful king named Kun Chung ordered the jars carved after defeating a tyrant in a legendary battle. His soldiers brewed massive quantities of rice wine inside them for a celebration that allegedly lasted months. In 2019, the site earned UNESCO World Heritage recognition. But the civilization that created these containers disappeared from history entirely and took every answer with them. And the next entry involves a natural phenomenon even more violent and relentless.
Number 5. Catatumbo lightning. On the shores of Lake Maracaibo in western Venezuela, the sky has been waging war against the Earth for as long as any human can remember. This is the epicenter of the Catatumbo lightning, a phenomenon so extreme it demolishes everything you thought you knew about thunderstorms. Almost every single night, for up to 10 consecutive hours, massive bolts of lightning hammer the exact same patch of sky above the lake. This is not a few scattered flashes during a passing storm. This is a relentless electrical bombardment, producing an estimated 1.2 million lightning strikes every single year. During peak activity, scientists have recorded 280 strikes in a single hour. That is nearly 5 bolts every 60 seconds, slamming the same location, night after night, month after month, century after century. To picture this, imagine a strobe light the size of a skyscraper pulsing above a lake every 12 seconds for 10 straight hours. Now imagine that happening almost every night of your entire life. That is daily reality for people living near Maracaibo. Researchers have studied this phenomenon for decades and assembled a partial answer. Winds sweeping down from the Andes collide with warm, moisture-heavy air rising from the lake surface. Methane gas released by decomposing organic matter in surrounding wetlands may add additional fuel to the electrical chaos. The unique surrounding geography funnels all of it into a single atmospheric pressure cooker. But partial is the critical word. No model has fully explained why the lightning stays locked to this precise location. Other spots on Earth share similar geography and climate. None of them produce anything remotely close to this level of electrical fury. The Catatumbo has been raging for centuries, and science still cannot tell us why. And if the sky attacking the Earth sounds terrifying, the next entry involves the Earth swallowing an entire river.
Number 4. Devil's Kettle. In Judge C.R. Magny State Park in northern Minnesota, the Brule River does something that drove scientists completely mad for decades. As the river approaches a massive rock formation, it splits cleanly into 2 separate channels. The eastern half tumbles over the ledge in a perfectly normal waterfall and continues flowing downstream exactly as expected. The western half plunges into a giant pothole in the volcanic rock and completely vanishes. Gone. For years, no one could figure out where the water went. Researchers and adventurous visitors tried everything they could think of to solve the riddle. They poured brightly colored dye into the hole, fully expecting it to resurface downstream. It never appeared. They dropped ping pong balls, GPS tracking devices, and various other objects into the abyss. Nothing was ever recovered. Not one item. Imagine dumping thousands of gallons of rushing river water per minute into a hole in the ground and having absolutely zero of it show up anywhere on the surface of the planet. That is Devil's Kettle. The mystery generated wild theories for generations. Some propose the water feeds into a massive underground cavern system that eventually empties into Lake Superior miles away. Others imagined it feeding a hidden subterranean river that had never been charted. A few people half-jokingly suggested the hole was simply a portal to somewhere else. In recent years, hydrologists deployed sophisticated flow measurement tools along the Brule River both above and below the falls. Their data strongly suggests the water does rejoin the river through underground fractures in the ancient basalt rock. The volume calculations above and below finally matched. Mystery solved. Supposedly. But if the water simply seeps through rock cracks, why has every single object ever thrown inside disappeared permanently? And if a river vanishing into the earth unsettles you, the next entry involves a spring that has killed people who dared explore it.
Number 3. Fosse d'Yon. In the quiet town of Tonnerre in central France, there's a spring that has been killing curious explorers for centuries. It sits right in the middle of town, surrounded by ordinary homes, small cafes, and cobblestone streets. A calm pool of blue-green water fills an elegant stone basin built during the 18th century. It looks peaceful, almost inviting. But beneath that deceptively tranquil surface lies one of the most dangerous and least understood underwater cave systems in all of Europe. The water rises from somewhere deep below through a network of tunnels so twisted and narrow that no human being has ever successfully mapped them. Multiple professional diving expeditions have attempted to explore the depths over the years. Several of those expeditions ended in death. Trained divers entered the pitch-black passageways and simply never came back. Their bodies were sometimes recovered days later, wedged in impossibly tight corridors far beneath the surface. Equipment lowered on cables vanished into the blackness. Ropes were pulled taut by unseen currents and then went suddenly slack, as if whatever held them simply decided to let go. After multiple fatalities, the French government officially restricted all access to the spring. Exploration diving was banned entirely. When a specially certified cave diver was finally authorized to attempt a deeper survey in 2019, he descended past 240 feet and discovered the tunnels kept going, branching in multiple directions into absolute darkness. The full extent of the system remains completely unknown. Local legends insist the spring connects to underground rivers stretching for miles beneath the French countryside. Others whisper about cursed treasures buried in the deepest chambers, protected by currents designed to drag intruders down forever. What is certainly not a legend is the confirmed body count. And if a spring that murders people terrifies you, the next entry involves lights that materialize from thin air and answer to absolutely no one.
Number 2. Hessdalen Lights. In the isolated Hessdalen Valley of central Norway, something has been appearing in the night sky since the early 1980s that no scientist on the planet has been able to explain. Witnesses describe glowing orbs of light that materialize silently above the valley floor, hovering in the darkness for anywhere from a few seconds to several hours before vanishing. Some drift slowly through the air like luminous jellyfish suspended in water. Others accelerate with shocking violence, shooting across the valley at speeds that would rip apart any known aircraft. Some shift color as they move, transitioning from brilliant white to deep blue to burning yellow with no warning. These are not reflections. They are not aircraft navigation lights. They are not meteors, satellites, or optical illusions. They have been photographed, filmed, and tracked on military-grade radar by scientific teams from multiple countries operating simultaneously. In 1984, a dedicated research station was built directly in the valley, equipped with cameras, magnetometers, spectrum analyzers, and radar systems designed specifically to monitor this phenomenon. After decades of continuous data collection, there is still no conclusive answer. Some researchers theorize the lights could be a form of ionized plasma generated by electrical discharges in the atmosphere, reacting with the unusual mineral deposits in the surrounding rock. Others propose piezoelectric effects from stressed quartz crystals in the mountains might release visible bursts of electromagnetic energy. A handful of scientists have quietly suggested the lights may represent an entirely unknown natural process, something that currently exists in no physics textbook anywhere on Earth. The Norwegian government has funded multiple official investigations. International universities have dispatched research teams. None have produced a definitive explanation. The lights keep appearing, keep defying every known classification, and keep reminding humanity that our understanding of this planet is frighteningly incomplete. And now, number 1, a place that could potentially rewrite human history itself.
Number 1. Reshot structure. Deep in the Sahara Desert of Mauritania, there is a geological formation so enormous, so geometrically precise, and so hauntingly familiar that it has forced credible scientists to seriously reconsider one of the oldest and most famous legends in all of human civilization. It is called the Reshot structure, known to most people simply as the Eye of the Sahara. From the ground, it appears to be nothing more than unremarkable rocky desert terrain stretching to the horizon. But seen from space, it reveals its true identity. A series of massive concentric circles stretching nearly 30 miles across, perfectly symmetrical, carved into the Earth like a colossal eye staring up at the cosmos. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station have called it one of the single most visually striking features visible from orbit. The textbook explanation states it is an eroded geological dome, an ancient bubble of subterranean rock pushed upward by volcanic forces millions of years ago, and then slowly carved into concentric rings by eons of wind and rain. That explanation sounds perfectly reasonable, until you read what the Greek philosopher Plato wrote 2,400 years ago.
Plato described the legendary city of Atlantis as a colossal circular metropolis constructed on concentric rings of land and water, situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules, annihilated in a single catastrophic event and swallowed by the earth. The reshot structure matches those descriptions with disturbing accuracy. The concentric rings, the massive diameter, a location west of the ancient Greek world, clear geological evidence of a catastrophic ancient flood that once ripped through the entire region. Satellite imagery reveals dried river channels flowing directly toward the structure, strongly suggesting it was once completely surrounded by water in a landscape that is now nothing but bone-dry sand. Mainstream geology firmly dismisses the Atlantis connection, but mainstream geology also cannot explain why this formation remains so flawlessly circular in a desert landscape otherwise defined entirely by chaos and randomness. Whether the Eye of the Sahara is the graveyard of humanity's greatest lost civilization or simply the most extraordinary geological accident in planetary history, it continues to stare silently upward from beneath thousands of years of sand, keeping its secrets buried exactly where it wants them.
If you thought this was terrifying, you are not ready for what they found in the video on your screen. Click it right now. The truth is worse than you think.